All right, it's 1:47 here on the Schilling Show, and speaking of David Slutsky, I want to remind you that this evening between 5 and 6 p.m. I will be appearing and broadcasting live from the Lane Auditorium lobby at the county office building as we host a special free pizza and root beer reception in honor of David Slutsky and in order to bring people out on the issue of taxes, truth in taxation. This is sponsored by the Albemarle Truth in Taxation Alliance. So we'll see you there tonight at 5 o'clock. Bring your appetite, please. Alrighty, let's continue here with our guest, Paul Jacob, who is also speaking this evening, 7:30, room 222 of Cabell Hall at the university. Why government wants you to shut up and pay your taxes, a tax on voters. And we were talking about how you were specifically under attack for some work that you had done in Oklahoma on a ballot initiative there. And this is just so egregious to me that we're having elected officials turning on individuals, trying to make an example out of them. And 10 years, I mean, I don't see what you possibly could have done wrong that would qualify for a 10-year sentence. So we are with you all the way on this court case. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about when you expect this to be heard, and what do you think is going to be the disposition?
Well, we finally get a day in court. We were indicted back in October. They ended up dismissing the indictment from the grand jury because of what were perceived to be some unconstitutional things that they may have done with the grand jury. Then came back and indicted us. We've been arraigned twice, put in handcuffs, leg irons, that kind of thing for a little show, I guess.
Yeah.
They didn't think the 10 years was enough fear factor for the public, so they wanted to pour it on. We finally get a day in court, a preliminary hearing in July 23rd in Oklahoma City. If you're looking for a vacation spot, come on down. And my attorney doesn't believe that it'll probably go to trial until sometime February, March, even April of next year. So this is something that will hang over my head for a while. And I think in the end, we're going to be found not guilty. We did not violate this law, certainly did not intend to, even if they changed the law after the fact. And the law itself that they're saying some of the circulators who petitioned violated, the residency requirement, is under challenge in federal court right now for being unconstitutional, a restriction of people being able to associate, because obviously only an Oklahoman can propose the initiative, only an Oklahoman can sign the petition, only an Oklahoman can vote on it, but to restrict circulating the petition to only Oklahomans seems merely a way to stop people from being able to be as effective in speaking out as they should be able to. But, I think in the end we will win. The question is, will this type of behavior where they seek to scare and intimidate people away from this process succeed? And one of the reasons, instead of just being quiet and waiting to go to court, that I'm running around the country and speaking out about it, is I want folks to realize what's going on, and I want the Attorney General, Drew Edmondson, to be known by people around the country and be known by people in Oklahoma as someone who has stepped over the line. The next time some Attorney General or some political hack whispers into the ear of an Attorney General, I want them to realize not only this is wrong what he's doing, but it's bad politics. Because as you may know, Rob, sometimes right and wrong isn't what they go by. It's what works politically or doesn't work. And when you think about it, they're going to cost me $100,000, $200,000 in legal fees. They're going to cost me a couple of years of my life. I've got kids at home that have to worry about what's going to happen to their dad. That's the one part that's a little hard to be forgiving about. This is something that puts us on the defensive instead of on being able to do the politics that we believe needs to be done in this country. So they win, whether they win in court or not. If in the end this law is shown to be unconstitutional, if in the end we win in court, which I think we will, the Attorney General is going to say, oh shucks, sorry about that, and go on about his day. We have to start getting together, waking up, and realizing we cannot allow elected officials to threaten people in this way. Look what happened to Mike Nifon in North Carolina.
The Nifon case.
The same thing needs to happen to Drew Edmondson in Oklahoma, and any other elected official or prosecutor who decides that his office is really a place to do political grandstanding and this kind of gutter political prosecution.
Is there any law under which you could sue him for malicious prosecution and have justice done to him for what he's doing to you? Are you aware of anything at this point?
You know, there is. I think he's violating our civil rights. I think it's purposeful. I think it's a selective prosecution. No one who they charge was an out-of-state circulator on these petitions has been charged with anything. And the reason is because they couldn't get a conviction against any of them. Instead, they're using it to go after us because they want to stop our political activity. That's a violation of our constitutional rights. Now, whether you can get a court to go along with that, whether we could get the information and the discovery from the Attorney General to go after him, that's a more difficult thing. But I don't think there's any question what he's doing is wrong and it is illegal. But the real key, I think, whether we can get him at some point for what he's done in a legal sense, is that we have to make the political case. People have to know what's going on, because people I've talked to, whether they agree with the Taxpayer Bill of Rights or any other issue I've ever been involved in, whether they're conservative or liberal, everybody I talk to about this is offended by what's going on and has been supportive of our cause. So I think it's a matter of getting the word out, people being aware of it, and in this internet age, what somebody writes on a blog in Virginia or Washington State or wherever is read by people in Oklahoma. We're all in this together. This is one big country, and it's the kind of thing where I think we need more and more people to be aware, speak out, and start to say, look, this is the one process where we can go over the heads of the politicians. Whether you're liberal or conservative, the politicians don't represent us very well. We've got to have this check on government. And frankly, as I know you would agree, we need this process in Virginia. We need the ability to put measures on the ballot to reform government and not have to go hat in hand to politicians. Now, I was thrilled to see what happened with the abusive driver fees, because a petition online that had no legal effect and people coming together across the political spectrum put the fear of God into politicians, and they changed that, thank goodness. But we need a lot more of a process whereby citizens can check the government right here in Virginia.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Having come from California and watched the process of Proposition 13, when we were having the same sorts of problems in California with real estate and property taxes that are being experienced by people right now in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and across Virginia, because governments can't control their spending, the people took it to a ballot and put it on there. It passed overwhelmingly. It has been under attack ever since, but it has held solid because the people knew at the time and realize now that that was best for them. We've got about a minute left. How do we make this happen in Virginia?
Well, I think we've got to start talking to our legislators, and I can tell you, I spoke to my legislator a few years ago who's no longer in the legislature, and said, how can this happen in Richmond? And one of the things she told me was, nobody in Richmond likes this idea. And of course she meant nobody in the legislature. That's going to be the case. So it's going to take citizens pushing our legislators. They're not going to want to do it. They're not going to like doing it. But anytime someone comes to you for your vote, you need to ask them, are you in favor of my vote? Are you in favor of me getting to vote not just for you, but on issues that are important to me, and see if they're willing to sponsor legislation to give us an initiative process to allow us to have that check on them. If they're not, don't support them. If they are, support them. And I think we'll begin to see, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think a movement can be created in the state that both liberals, conservatives, moderates, everybody can agree is going to work best for the people of the state.
I agree with you 100%. And Paul Jacob, people can hear you tonight. Again, your speech, Why Government Wants You to Shut Up and Pay Your Taxes, A Tax on Voters, will begin this evening at 7:30, room 222 of Cabell Hall. It's going to be great. Hey, thank you for joining us, and we wish you the best in your case. Please keep us posted.
I will, Rob. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, and we'll see you all tonight at 5 o'clock in the lobby of Lane Auditorium. Free pizza and root beer in honor of David Slutsky. Show up. It's truth and taxation, very important. See you tomorrow.